The Warbands have arrived. We're delving down into dungeons. Hero talents are pouring out of it. The war within Alpha is coming, and Daddy Metzen would like it if we came home. While I'm knocking on the door, let's take a look how this is starting out. Let's start strong. Warbands. The addition of the Warbands and account-wide progress is the standout feature so far. From transmog, quest completion, companion experience, the loading screen itself is great, and I fully expect Blizzard to reward like variety scenes, accessories to this in the future for like more customization, and I totally can see players investing time in showing off their characters with matching looks and themes and all that. It really hit home when I was playing alts in the alpha, and seeing that my progress on leveling my Delve companion, which is Bran Bronzebeard, was just carrying on from where I'd left it on another character. I am so used to just treating every alt as essentially just a fresh character. It was like a revelation, honestly, to finally see that that is just no longer the case. I got level 4 on one character, I logged my fresh alt, Bran is level 4. Oh, fantastic. Welcome, Blizzard, to 2024. And Blizzard has said they are retroactively going to be adding things like legacy reputations to the Warband system, and it can't come soon enough. I know, like many of us, I've been around for a very long time. I have exalted in one expansion on one character, exalted with everything on another character, and I would like that to unify. Those are all things I did as a player, so when that happens, happy, happy days. I would like to point out, though, that while it's nice that the game now shows you quests that you have completed already on a different character by showing them in like an opaque fashion, I personally would like a toggle just in the menu to show the quests in a normal way, as if I'm planning on just requesting on alts. I want to see all the quests normally, but it's really a minor thing, and they're just letting you know you already have done this quest line and you probably already have the reputation for it. Let's go to Delves. So Delves are the big gameplay feature addition. Blizzard historically been a bit hit and miss with this. Certainly like BFA with its islands and its warfronts, not met so well, Shadowlands with Torghast, but they need a big gameplay feature to sell them on, and Delves is what it is. So they're solo, or they're grouped, you can go up to 5. They're broken down into tier levels, so very similar to the jumps in difficulty you'd seen like Mythic Plus, or Diablo 4, or Path of Exile maps. They're not RNG in layout, and eventually, in Blizzard's words, these are going to scale to around Mage Tower difficulty. They're going to get very, very hard. So in the alpha so far, they've given us 3 delves to mess with. We've got the mushrooms, we've got the Nerubians, and the kobolds. They all have some sort of gimmick to them, depending on which faction you're going in with. So Kobold, for example, requires you to keep a candle lit on your head. The Nerubians have enemy spawning webs all over the floors, etc. While the first dungeons are, of course, the introduction ones, and they're very, very easy. They're just showing you how it works. So the things on your screen right now are the tier 2 delves. What's clear with these is the scope for them to just ramp up to that Mage Tower difficulty is really apparent. Every single delve has a boss that's in like a very purpose-built arena. They have basic mechanics right now, but you can just, certainly with my raid experience, you can look around and see, oh god, this could become hell. This could become an absolute nightmare when it really starts get going. And similar with the affixes that you'll come to as you move up tier levels, you'll start adding more and more in. Tier 2 maps, for example, like they feel like really open and spacious. No doubt that is going to be really claustrophobic when far more is going on inside. So I'm genuinely excited to see where these go. The tier 2s can, of course, feel a little slow. But again, those minor breaks that you have in tier 2 where you're just kind of waiting around for the game to keep going, later on, they're probably going to be a little relief point to eat, refresh, whatever it's going to be. The companions, surprisingly, also appear to level really, really quickly and not be sort of a xal'atath follower grind. I haven't exactly blasted delves because they're stuck at tier 2, and Bran is pretty much capped for me. I hope it stays like this. I really do in the main game, as completing the delves should be the goal rather than like grinding out followers for an achievement or something like that. The companions you get do have a role choice, so Bran, who we have now, could be a DPS or a healer. He also comes with a bunch of abilities that he unlocks as he levels that give you buffs, they CC enemies, they can spawn little friends to help you out, things like that. And once done, once you get to the end of the delve, you get a selection of chests to open. Common ones, rare, epic. Now, this will be a gearing system when it goes live, but the rare and epic chest require keys. These aren't in the game yet. I have a concern is that Blizzard will fall into those old habits of have the keys only be obtainable from some other system of content outside. So similar to they did with the Zascara vaults, rather than have this system be self-contained and have them obtainable from within the delve for completing extra challenges or going and doing some extra harder rare or something like that. Similar to what we would get in like a Path of Exile lab experience. A world quest that specifically rewards a key? Sure. That's going to be okay. I need some keys. I'm going to do some delves. The world quest drops the key. Okay. Far better than, say, rares that RNG drop a key or some sort of Isle of Thunder system where you have to complete everything to get some coins or something like that. Please, no. None of that. I've no doubts that if you add a chore to this and people who want to sit down, I'm going to do my delves, but now I need to do X and Y before I can do the delves, will just suck the fun out of it, and it's just going to have the... It's going to lose the focus on enjoying the delves themselves. I'm a big proponent of, if you need a good system to prop up what is generally a bad system by forcing people to do it, that just ruins the whole experience because people just can't be bothered doing that thing. And it would be a shame if this just turned into alternative dungeons, right? What I mean by that is they should consider how awesome the rewards are going to be for like a full completion of the tier 13 highest difficulty maps. You could do these as a group. Generally speaking, groups are easier than solo, and the focus of these and the people I believe are excited about delves are solo players. If this has some super badass reward, because Mage Tower has been mentioned with them awesome transmogs, and being in a group is just way easier, I don't want this to turn into people just buying a run, right? And it's just like, we've got Mythic Plus and Delves, but you kind of want to do them both in groups, so the system loses its unique feel. So that's a concern I have about it. Let's go on to hero talents. They're the next big feature. So, after reading the previews that were coming out over the last couple of months, I think like many people looked certainly at the big ones, the really cool ones like the mage talents, and got very, very excited that we were essentially just getting subclasses in the game. That's not really the case. There are so many that some being better than others is obviously going to happen, right? But after playing with them now, what hero talents are more flavor enhancement than subclasses. So try and think of it more like it's adding some sugar to some cereal rather than a new flavor of cereal itself. It does fit though. I get where they're coming from with this. The Dragonflight talent rework came with the understanding that people really, really like getting some sort of reward every time they ding. So in this case, every single level that you get in War Within is going to give you a new hero talent. But this also means most are just basically passive upgrades, similar to what we had with the old artifact weapons. Yes, you're making progress, but it's nothing like super mega, but you do get to have that feeling of progression. This also means that you're going to see a lot of percent damage here, percent damage there, things like that. Some of the trees are entirely passive. They don't come with a new spell or anything. They just slightly alter what your spells do. They don't add any new buttons, but those ones tend to add a lot more visual flavor. I would say, like, the DK's Rider of the Apocalypse is exactly like this. Summoning the Horseman looks awesome, feels cool, but you don't have any control over it. It's a passive thing that's going on. And remember, I have done quick looks, if you're looking for them, on every single class over on our TDP channel. That's linked below if you want an in-depth of each class and what they do. I'm not disappointed in these hero talents. I'm really not. I'm just more grounded on what this system actually is. Instead of building it up in my head as to what it could be, this is what it actually is, and it's fine. In some cases, though, they do add really good fun things. So that passive Riders of the Apocalypse I talked about before does add mounted combat for Death Knights. Awesome. You can mount on you can literally get on your flying mount while you're in combat and just fly away. If you're outdoors, you can totally do that. You can fight on your Arcurus Death Charger. The concern I have with them is that in some cases, they do force you into specific talents, which wasn't the case in Dragonflight. You could choose to spec however the hell you wanted. If you didn't like a certain spell that was in the talent tree, even if it was BIS or whatever, you didn't have to take it. If you spec a certain way with a hero talent, you have to take that talent because the hero talent works around it. So Slayer Warrior, for example, is based pretty much on Bladestorm. And it should be noted that right now, you could spec into a Slayer Warrior without having Bladestorm at all. And that makes like a really scary noob trap for people. So some warning, a visual warning should be included if someone does that, because yes, I have seen people playing the alpha and not getting the benefit of their hero talents because they didn't have the base talent in the normal talent tree. We have seen Shadow Priest, for example, not using Void Torrent, even though That is the basis of their entire hero talent system. Now, it's a tricky one to solve, right? Because each class has access to 2 hero talent trees. So in most cases, there's 3 hero talent trees, and each spec gets 2 of the 3 specs you have. Druids have an extra one, for example, and obviously Demon Hunters have just the 2. And some classes have a crossover of roles, right? Monks are either a tank or a healer in the 2, or they're a DPS and a tank, or they're a DPS and a healer. Those are the way the hero talents are going to be divided up. So they've had to make the hero talents either A, utilize a brand new spell, so you can just make the hero talents about that, but in most cases, they utilize abilities that both of the roles have access to, even though they work differently, right? So a Windwalker and a Mistweaver both do have like a healing spell, but obviously one is making different use of it, but they both have access to it, so we can build something around that. What this means is a lot of them are very basic, as if they're not going to come with a new spell of their own. But on the other hand, they're really simple to understand, and they're really simple to add into your normal gameplay. I think overall, when it comes to hero talents, in nearly all cases, just don't expect the way you play your character in Dragonflight to change too much in the War Within. It's just going to add some spice, some flavor, some visuals, and in some cases a new spell that, for the most part that I've tested so far, just kind of slips into your rotation kind of normally as an extra button. I want to talk about the new zone briefly. I've done a really long look at this first zone, the Isle of Dorn, on my other channel, but it's worth mentioning that following a no doubt spectacular scenario that's going to bring us into the War Within, the first actual leveling zone is surprisingly bland. Certainly, like, if I compare it to the launch zones of the past, right? Hellfire Peninsula, Bastion, they're all very visually captivating, right? Despite what you think of the gameplay, that doesn't matter. I'm just saying when you get there, it's like, oh man, this is a big change. I suspect they've made this one pretty bland intentionally, because clearly they can make these epic mega zones and have done all the way through Dragonflight. And I don't think it's just for story reasons. I really do think Blizzard is expecting, or maybe they're just hoping, that a lot of older players will listen to the horn of Metzen crying out and come back to War Within to check it out. So they've made the first zone really nice and comfy and familiar, like a comfy blanket for people to just reacquaint themselves with the game before the fantastical, weird and wonderful underground caverns, which we have seen in the previews, come to light. But I'm going to do one of these updates every time there's a big alpha update on the main channel, so we'll of course be visiting these areas soon, so stay tuned for that. We're going to have a video like this for you every single week when new content comes out for the alpha to track our progress. So much potential is available here. And remember, if you want that day-to-day stuff, you want quick looks, looking at all the classes, looking at the hero talents, looking at how they play, you can find all that over on the TDP, our second channel. It'll be linked down below. Check it out there. We can't wait to see where this goes, and you can come along for the ride. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you again.